Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Transporter, starring Jason Statham, Shu Qi, Francois Berland, and Matt Schulz, and directed by Corey Yun and Louis Leterrier. Now, the reason I said both names is because Louis Leterrier is the guy that does the dialogue, and Corey Yun does the fight scenes. And I'll explain that in the show. But I did, however, go. So I did saw this in theaters, and what do I think of it? I remember it being not understandable, but let's get into it. Frank Martin, played by Jason Statham, goes to a robbery led by some robbers, as he has rules in his car, and his job is to transport her. For example, no names, never check the package, wear your seatbelts, and never change the deal, which is funny when he explains it to the robbers before we ever get an chase sequence, which I admittedly am having an entertaining time with this chase sequence, as Frank has some impressive driving skills, and that's what I'm coming into the series from what I'm remembering of what it's all about. Is it the fun car chase sequence? And I'm liking this opening for how fun it is. Excuse me. While washing his car, Frank gets a visit from Inspector Tarconi, played by Francois Berland. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, so please forgive me. About the robbery, and doesn't arrest him as it was his job. And I like Jason Statham in this movie, as he may be the best actor in this whole movie, and maybe the series. We'll see how that goes. We'll have to see in the other two movies with him, and we'll see how the last one goes. But he gets an assignment to deliver a package to a criminal named Wall Street, played by Matt Schulz, as Frank breaks one of his rules to see what's moving inside the package, as it's an Asian lady named Lai, played by Ki Shu, and she has to go to the bathroom, and she escapes until Frank finds her running in the woods, and that scene was very corny in general. We meet Wall Street, and this actor I sort of like, as I reviewed him in the first two Blade films, where he plays two different characters, and I'll talk about him again in the Fast and the Furious series. But Wall Street blows up Frank's car, and he's pissed off to the point he shoots up his place, and some choreography, and I had a lot of fun with. I also love this fight because of how they train to fight one another. That was a great action sequence, as it was directed by Corey Yun, who directed the fight scenes. And the other scenes that is rather corny is directed by Louis Leterrier, who I reviewed his work before in The Incredible Hulk, and will review his work again when I get to the remake of Clash of the Titans. And I do like his action in The Incredible Hulk more than here or in Clash of the Titans. But here he brings the corny dialogue, as the movie suffers for that. And the plot, whereas Corey Yun brings all the action, the inspector comes by while Lai makes breakfast for Frank, and they talk about the car Frank drove the day before he was blown up, and Frank shows the inspector the new car he stole from Wall Street, and he has to think of how to get out of it. Frank's house gets blown up by Wall Street and his goons, and as it's blown all to hell, Frank and Lai escape from underwater and goes to the second house, which is rather a silly sequence, because the missiles can't kill Frank, as he has a backup plan. And they go to the inspector as Lai hacks into their criminal cases, and she wants to go after Wall Street while Frank wants his normal life, wants the normal life, and the dialogue is not very good here. They get to Wall Street's office and finds Lai's father, who's working with Wall Street, and they knock out Frank, and the inspector arrives. Frank in the scene was badly written, just like the plotty dialogue in this movie. Frank asks the inspector to let him out because they've been friends for how long? That's not important, but it's kind of a cheat. The inspector lets Frank hold him hostage to the boat station and ships to the docking bay, aka where the bad guys are at. which was hilarious to me. We're back to the awesome action sequences as they fight in the docking area, and Frank jumps in on the car, which is really something you should not try at home, folks. Frank fights with his shirt off to show off those muscles, of which did kind of annoy me throughout the fight scene. But he fights more men with all of him, with oil on him, excuse me, which was pretty funny. Frank steals a car and gets on a plane to get Wall Street and Lia's father quickly, and he does catch up with the final action sequence where Frank stabs Wall Street while Lia's father shoots at Frank. And Frank throws some kind of wrench at the driver at Lia's father's car. And Frank kills Wall Street and pulls the truck over. And Lia's father has a gun on Frank as they walk to a cliff. And Frank picks a rock and Lia shoots her father. And she and Frank let the people out of the truck to free them. And as a climax, it was fun. But the ending song, I don't necessarily like it as it doesn't fit the movie. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 6.0 out of 10. The action sequences are great, fun, but the choreography, but the plot is really corny, and were times the action was pretty damn funny. If I say so myself, Jason Statham is the best character in the movie, in my opinion, and it felt like a fun B movie, and I recommend it as that movie. And so check this out if you want to be entertained. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with Transporter 2. And until next time, I'm listening.